Mr. Speaker, thanks for having us here.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
We appreciate that. We're closing in on the final month of the legislative session here. Anything that you did not expect in this new position you have?
Look, the House is meant for, surprises, which means when things happen, you just kind of go with what it is. But it's been a good session so far. I'm very happy with where things are at. I'm happy with the House's relationship with the Senate, the governor. I think we're on track to have a very good session.
A lot of differences this session here, and you've done what your predecessors have not, getting school vouchers passed. How soon could the governor sign this landmark piece of legislation into law?
By the end of this week.
By the end of the week?
By the end of the week.
That's a pretty huge deal then to have it done during the session.
It is. I mean, we passed some big priority bills. We had our first bill signing today. We're going to have another bill signing, I'm assuming, in the next 2 weeks on school choice, and we're getting big things done for Texans.
Let me ask you about DOGE, since that was the one passed today. What kind of cuts should Texans expect from this new DOGE committee, this new DOGE law that passed?
So there's going to be cuts, but I think the biggest thing that it's going to do is it's going to look at all the regulations that have been passed and are being considered. It's going to make sure that they're done in plain English. It's going to look for redundancies, and it's going to try to minimize the number of regulations. I mean, if you look at the regulatory burden on the average business in Texas, it's too big. And this is designed, Texas DOGE, to streamline that.
What do you think they'll find?
They're going to find all sorts of things. You look at Texas DOGE and the Texas House already. I mean, who would have predicted that Giovanni Capriglione and his committee would have looked at some of the Medicaid contractors and what they've discovered? And they're still working hard to uncover and find waste, fraud, and abuse.
Is there going to be a significant cost savings, do you think, to taxpayers?
I sure hope so.
At the end of the day?
That's going to be the intention.
Let's talk about ESAs here. There are a number of private schools in Texas that I've heard from that just aren't interested in vouchers. They're afraid there might be some future accountability for those schools if they take the money. Should lawmakers do anything to incentivize private schools so there really is school choice and parents can really send their children wherever they want?
Here's the good news. For those private schools that have those concerns and do not want to participate, they do not have to. For all the ones that there are several others that would actually love to participate in this program. And I think we're going to see some of the private schools that have been in business and operation for a long time in this state. When I think about it, I think about the Catholic Church and the schools they have. I think you're going to see them expand and grow and provide more opportunities because I think they're very excited about this program.
What do you tell these other schools outside the parish schools that might have concerns that there may be some future accountability tied to this money?
This bill makes sure that that is not going to be the case. It makes sure that private schools are going to be able to operate the way they always have. They have big, significant safeguards and protections, and they also will always have the right not to participate if they so choose.
Lost in the conversation about vouchers is the historic amount of money put towards public education. How big of a deal was that?
It's the biggest bill we passed this session.
Why do you think it was lost in this conversation?
I don't know. I mean, it shouldn't have been. We've held a press conference about it. It is HB2, meaning when we look at numbers, the only thing more important is the budget, which we are constitutionally obligated to pass. For the Texas House, it is the big win of the session. And I feel it has a lot of momentum even in the Texas Senate and with the governor. So it does a lot of good things, takes care of our SPED children, our special education, deals with full day pre-K funding, a lot of the things that we've been hearing about. And I think our public education community is very excited about HB2.
Did the passage of HB2, the public school funding, did that squelch concern from critics, rural Republicans who might have been concerned about vouchers, do you think?
I don't know if the two are necessarily tied together or not, but what I can say is House Bill 2, combined with a few of the other programs that we're doing in addition to that, means this session we will have been committed to spending more on public education than in the history of Texas, even after being adjusted for inflation. That is a historic win, and we're taking care of some much needed things. Teacher pay raises, special education funding, full day pre-K, things that I think are very important that we hear about and very excited about.
One more ESA question here. Do you anticipate expanding the voucher program at all in the future? Do you think that $1 billion of the biennium will be consumed?
So look, we hope that there's a huge demand for it. I think there will be. I think that as soon as we have this program available, people sign up for it, we're going to see a huge demand for that. And if the demand is there and the children are being educated, we're going to have excitement, and I can see future legislators wanting to continue to grow it and invest in it because it's going to work.
But you're expecting a huge demand.
I think there's going to be a big demand. I really do.
Let's talk about the budget for a moment here. House and Senate budgets both leave $40 billion on the table that can't be spent unless lawmakers break the spending cap. Is that a possibility at all, do you think?
I don't think we will. Look, I mean, we don't know what the economic certainty is going to be. We don't know where it's going to be. I think it's always good to leave money in the bank. I think it's very good to basically leave some money available so that, when we return to future legislative sessions, that we have a bit of a cushion. I think Texas taxpayers expect us to be responsible with their money. They expect us to be responsible with budgeting, and they may want to make sure that we don't put ourselves into deficit spending, which we don't do in Texas.
What happens to that money? Does it stay on a balance sheet? It doesn't go to the rainy day fund, does it?
Yeah, so there's a certain amount of money that's going to go to the rainy day fund, and I think there's some additional monies beyond that I would like to hold back for next session to make sure that we're not bare cabinet when we return potentially.
Not bare cabinet?
No.
I haven't heard that one. Fiscal conservatives in your party are they're critical about the state budget increasing again this session. What do you tell those critics, especially at a time when we're all watching what's happening in D.C., where agencies are being eliminated, people are being fired, et cetera?
I'm going to push back real quick. I'm not so sure they're really fiscal conservatives. I think there's some people who want to make their political mark by complaining about everything that we do so they can show a differentiation. That's politics. Does it make them more fiscally responsible or opportunists? I don't know. I'll let people be the judge of that. But if you look at our budget, we have 5 spending constraints. We are underneath all of those, including growing the budget beyond population plus inflation, a bill that we passed in 2019, historic, something I fought for the first 2 sessions I was here. We have 5 different spending restraints. We do not have deficit spending. We do not have a DC style budget. I'm always amazed when I talk to people, and I think sometimes they understand what's happening in DC, where they haven't balanced a budget in I don't know how long. They have deficit spending over and over. They have debt. We don't have those things in Texas. It is a fiscally responsible budget, period, the end, which is why you see the House and Senate and Republicans agree on it, because that's what's important.
But as far as the actual expenditures growing over the bienniums, what do you say to that? Is there? I've heard some people say, listen, the state's growing too, but is there room to reduce overall state spending?
$51 billion of the budget is being spent to maintain or continue to drive down property taxes. We're putting money into transportation and roads where it's growing. We're putting money into water, which is very important, and maybe probably not even enough that we're spending at this point in time. If you look at these priorities, I think they're exactly what Texans want and deserve.
One other budget question here. Trump administration's following through on its promises to secure the border. The number of illegal crossings, as we've all seen, has gone down to a trickle since President Trump took over here. Why does Texas need to keep spending billions of dollars down there if Trump has fixed the problem?
So there are still some things that we're going to continue to need to do, but we're working through it. Very proud that we have a president in the White House, first time in a while, that actually cares about securing the southern border. And with what they're doing and the investment they're making, I'm not so sure we're going to have to spend everything that we have budgeted for it, because Trump has stepped up.
What else does the state still need to do, though, with Trump stepping up?
So there's still lots of infrastructure down there that needs to be done. There's still going to be a need for some of our state guard to be down there. There's still going to be some things that we're going to need to do to maintain, what we've already started and what we've been doing. And we also have, some wall that we've continued to build, and we need to finish out what we've started.
Let's talk about the lottery for a moment here. The House's budget passed the chamber with 0 funding for the Lottery Commission. And then you guys doubled down on it again with a second non-binding resolution. Is the Texas lottery going away?
We're going to have that conversation still. I mean, that is, in the next 30 days, there's going to be a real conversation about, are we going to keep it? And if we do, what changes need to be made so that people have confidence that it is a legitimate gaming operation?
Should the lottery be abolished? We saw the lottery director resign the other day. The lieutenant governor has plenty of questions. I know you guys do too. Should the lottery be abolished?
I'm not there yet, but we're continuing the conversations to basically get a sense of where we need to be on that.
How concerned are you with what's going on at the lottery right now?
Well, we're concerned enough. You've seen the votes of my members on the Texas House floor. You've seen the headlines. You've seen some of the bills that are being filed to address it. I think that there's a conversation that will play out over the next 30 days, and we'll see where we get to on it.
Tell me about your relationship with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, though, because you've done what your predecessors have not. You've cultivated a relationship with him and successfully worked with him to pass some huge Republican legislation, the public school funding, ESAs. What are you doing that your predecessors did not?
Well, I can't make comments of where things have went awry or what's not been in the past, but I have respect for the Lieutenant Governor. We don't always agree on things, but there's a lot of common ground that we have. There's a lot of the same worldview that we have. But I'll tell you, it's whether it's business, whether it's politics, whether it's any other relationships, the whole thing is to continue the conversation over and over. And so I think the one thing that he and I are doing well is we're keeping the line of communication open, and we're talking about things as they come up.
How often do you talk to him?
Frequently.
Do you? I mean, weekly, or is it more than that, I guess?
It's at least weekly.
Okay. A few last questions here, Mr. Speaker. Affordability is becoming a huge problem in Texas, as you likely know. Housing costs, insurance costs, property taxes, which the legislature is addressing here. Should the legislature be doing more to address these specific issues affecting Texans in their wallets and pocketbooks?
We're trying to do more, and I think we will do more. If you look at housing affordability, one of the biggest costs in there, one of the biggest hidden costs is time. So if you look at new construction, the time from actually purchasing a piece of land and getting permits and trying to actually get something built, it's too long. It's unnecessary long. And time is money. That's capital that's out there in the marketplace. We're trying to speed up third-party permitting, and we have bills in both chambers to address that. We're looking at other creative ideas to try to make sure housing affordability is there. We have a slew of bills dealing with health insurance costs, trying to figure out whether or not some of these mandates have made them more expensive. So we are looking at these things and trying to figure out what we can do in the state of Texas to make things more affordable.
How about property insurance? We've had companies leave the state of Texas.
Property insurance, absolutely. And there's a series of bills out there talking about that, looking at that. We've heard lots of people say it's gone up.
There are a number of open seats next year, competitive races for U.S. Senate, Attorney General, Comptroller. Do you plan to make any endorsements at all?
Ask me again after session.
After session. Do you plan to run for anything else?
I do not.
Okay. I've heard some chatter, and I don't know how serious it is, but do you expect there to be any special sessions this summer?
Obviously, if we get the priorities done, we get the things done for Texas, I'm hopeful we don't have one. I think we're on track not to at this point in time, but we're not going to know until, June 2nd and sine die. And
THC is another kind of flashpoint issue that a lot of folks have. Where do you think that's going to end up? I've heard the Lieutenant Governor say, listen, if the House doesn't pass this, we don't get this passed, that he would force a special session.
Look, we've had committee hearings on it. I am concerned about many of the products in the marketplace. If you look at some of the Chinese vape and some of the places it's being sold, I think there's bipartisan support for banning a good number of those products. I think there's some products people want to have the conversation about keeping for access. I think that all of that's going to be coming to the floor very soon, and the members are going to try to figure out what is the right balance.
Total ban, do you think the members would support that?
We're going to find out.
At the end of the session, how are you going to determine success for your first session as Speaker?
Look, I want to make sure that all of the members had an opportunity to represent their districts. I want to make sure all of the members who've come down here to be good representatives of their district are able to say they felt that they were fully heard. They were fully able to advocate for their districts, that they've had legislative success. And it's really going to be about the other members' success that's going to define whether I feel I was successful as Speaker or not.
Democrats helped get you elected. You end up passing these behemoths of bills that Republicans really wanted, ESAs, et cetera. At the end of the day, do you think you've redeemed yourself at all with conservative colleagues who had questions early on?
I don't think about things in those terms, right? I've been here now for a decade, over a decade. I have friends on both sides of the aisle. I think that they basically have supported me for a great many of reasons. Nobody was disillusioned that, I have a conservative bent in the way I've legislated, the way I have a worldview. But I want to make sure that even if you don't have the same worldview, that you're going to be respected on that House floor. You're going to be able to bring legislation that works and solutions that work, and that you're going to be heard and fully and meaningfully participate. So I think that's what's going to define success.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the time, sir.
Thank you.